Okay, so welcome everyone to the first of the official sessions. My name is Chris Cronin. I work on the SketchUp team. I've been working on the SketchUp team for a long time, ever since the Atlas days, but we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Daniel Tall, who is going to give us a wonderful presentation. For those of you who don't know Daniel, he's trained as a landscape architect by association. He's a longtime friend of the SketchUp team and the SketchUp community, and he's an all-around good guy. And beyond that, he is just about one of the foremost experts on SketchUp in the world. Yes, you are. Come on.
Say that.
So please give a round of applause and a warm welcome to Mr. Daniel Tall, and I'll let him take it from here.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for having me again. I've been to every Basecamp since, I think, 2006. So it's an honor to actually come present. And thank you, Chris, for the introduction. There are a lot of people now using SketchUp way beyond what I'm able to understand how they're doing it. Quick show of hands. How many people here use Ruby scripts, extensions, plugins actively? Sweet. It's awesome. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to run through the first part of my presentation, which is PowerPoint. I'm going to do a lot of demoing. I'm going to show you how I use different extensions to get stuff done. And I'm going to sequence extensions in terms of workflow and process. I'm part of brightmental.com. Mike Brightman is my business partner, and he has a book on SketchUp and layout. It's worth checking out. And we have a multifaceted business. We do a lot of different things. But again, I'm just going to run through this. First book, I'm working on a second edition. I actually got that contract today for Google SketchUp for Site Design, which will just be SketchUp for Site Design. Rendering in SketchUp, which came out in March of this past year, of 2013. And since I am going to run through quickly and go through a lot of stuff, we are going to record this session, which I need to remember to do right now. Perfect. Whatever that means. We'll let that go. But I am going to make the PDF and some extensions and files available for at one of our websites. And I am also going to be starting to offer CAU classes, hopefully, in the summer. We'll keep going. Extensions are essential for modeling in SketchUp. I think a lot of people in this room already know that. You cannot get away in creating models in SketchUp efficiently. The name of the game is about economics, efficiency, accuracy, being able to deliver. At this point, the extension system in SketchUp is so diverse and so big that there's nothing you really can't do. Everything has, you can find an extension to do something for you, regardless of what it might be. So what do I mean by that? John Bacchus actually nailed it on the head. Obviously, he knows this really well. SketchUp is a blank slate. It's this tool that doesn't come overloaded. Like you open up a lot of other products and you're sifting through tons of different menus and things you don't understand on how or what or when to use. Instead, SketchUp's like, here I am. I keep the large tool set open in SketchUp. Why? Because that's my basic system of tools that I might need, things I might not have a shortcut to, but it's really simple. What do extensions allow you to do? It makes SketchUp into this chameleon. It becomes a program that can do anything. I always run into people who say, well, you can't do that in SketchUp, use Rhino. Or you can't do that in SketchUp, you can use Revit. Well, I'm like, well, I can do it in SketchUp. You just have to find the right tool. So it doesn't matter what profession you're in, what you're trying to do, drawing or modification or rendering and graphics, parametric, organic modeling. You can find the tool for yourself to use it and actually leverage that tool to create things you might normally not have done before. And this is just a quick graphic. The idea behind it is these tools are they have no limitations and they cross over. So you might use a tool for something unrelated in interior design that someone for organic modeling or terrain modeling or animation might use. It's just exploring the tools. Each Ruby script offers a function or multiple functions. The difference is using that tool for the way you want to use it to get your things done. So it's a modular tool system. You're not talking about AutoCAD Lisps. You're not talking about the plugins for Photoshop. You're talking about a core system that since it's been developed, you can do just about anything. This is, I reinstalled my Ruby library for 2014. I opened it up. This kind of shows me some of the menus and a good part of what Ruby scripts are there. Oh, design coders. This is an important thing. Two things. I'm a Trekkie. And the motto there is infinite diversity and infinite combinations. That's my perspective on SketchUp. And the other thing is design coders. You're starting to see in a lot of professional offices people that might be design trained, but are also learning to code. Why? Because they're creating their own tools for that office to actually be able to do the work that they need to do. So, if you are not using SketchUp, I don't care if you're new, you're not using SketchUp correctly. Go explore what it does. These are all the things that will save you money, frustration. It might crash, but you might get a bug splat, and you can always send hate mail, but they do read it, so don't do that. And even the ones that you have to purchase, I purchase Ruby scripts, left and right. You need to purchase them. They're worth what they do. Their weight in gold. Okay, so I'm going to go over where to find, how to install really quickly, notable scripts and authors. We're going to spend most of it on a demo, and I'm doing a workshop tomorrow. I have not done a Ruby script or an extension workshop in a long time because they're hard to pull off. But with Extension Warehouse, let's see if we can do it. I'd love to go through all of these. I know it's ambitious. There's a couple of here that are worth noting. I have a cut fill extension that I'm going to demo today that I've been working with limitless computing because I do a lot of terrain modeling. But I really want to point out, because I'm not going to go through all of his tools, Fredo 6 has a bunch of tools. If you haven't checked them out, I'll tell you where to find them. Chris Fulmer and Tig also, just some notable authors of, because I end up going back and forth and being like, well, I use a lot of their scripts. But just, there's a whole bunch more to go through. Here are some of the demo files, and it's tomorrow at Outer Shell. That's not misspelled. That's named for one of the founders of SketchUp. So the first place to get, SketchUp Extension Warehouse. If you haven't done it, you should. Second place, this is really important because there's a lot of plugins here, is the Sketchucation Plugin Store Manager. It's free. All the Ruby scripts there, I think, are free as well. You can donate, but it is a must. Who has Sketchucation Plugin Store? Who doesn't? Raise your hands. Don't be ashamed. Some of you are not ready. Go get it. Must have. Important. It has a lot of different things and options that actually help you manage scripts as well. Smuster.com, old place to go, but one of the first places to deposit Ruby scripts and extensions and plugins. I'm going to definitely show you some oldies and goodies that I use from there. The other one is Valley Architects. How many here use Chuck Valleys? Yeah. And I'm going to demo a new one called Instant Roof New today. Hopefully it'll work because we need internet connection, but I think I have it. So again, this guy's amazing and miraculous in what he's doing. And for the hardcore, how many people have been to the Ruby Depot? The Ruby Depot, for the hardcore people here, if I can get it up again, right here. These are all extensions. Some might work for 2014, some might not work for 2014, but if you're really, really looking for something, go here, because you might just find something really odd, random, amazing, who knows, that would be using. But you could see how many tools have actually been developed for SketchUp. It's just phenomenal. So I do have videos on how to install, because there's at least 4 or 5 different ways to install a Ruby script, and I don't know if this will actually work, and I don't want this to actually do this right now. But again, I can make this PDF available to people if you want it, but there are at least 4 or 5 different ways to install from the Extension Warehouse, Sketchucation Plugin Store, installing through Extension Preferences. You can do a whole class on that. I will review that in the workshop tomorrow. And one more Ruby script that's worth noting, it's actually Alex Schreier who's presenting right now in the other room. He has a great plugin on his website called the Plugin Loader, which can help you also load plugins. It might seem overwhelming. It really is getting a lot easier in terms of installing scripts versus what it was even in 2013 and before that when I'd have to teach classes and be like, go to Program Files. I'm not going to go there. Okay. This is one thing that a lot of people don't do. And bad, bad, bad. You should do this. I cannot find a Ruby script that does not have instructions to it. There might be some on Ruby Depot, but Extension Warehouse, Sketchucation, Smustered, Valley Architecture, anywhere you're going to go, you're going to find tutorials, you're going to find people explaining how to actually do and work the Ruby script. Install it, work it, find the menus on how it works. and also demonstrate how it actually functions. So for example, instant road new, which is a really complicated script with a lot of functions, he has some really good instructions for it. Again, I'm going to mention Fredo 6 because I heavily depend on his Ruby scripts. And let's go demo, because that's what I'd rather do. So, this is a must-have Ruby script. How many people are using selection toys? Wow. Go get it. It is phenomenally important. It is a must-have Ruby script if you're using SketchUp. It lets you do a lot of different things. I'm going to open up the menu. This is a simple menu that actually has a lot more functionality than it might look like. I'm going to give you a really quick understanding of what it can do. So I have a layer list here. Unfortunately, I don't have any of these objects on layers. So I need to reorganize this model. Why? Because everything was modeled. It was an imported AutoCAD file. Someone gave me the file. I modeled it. It's now a mess. I can't organize it. So I'm going to select, for example, this palm tree. I'm going to open up Entity Info. I'm going to right-click on it. And I have a new submenu at the bottom called Instances. Now, the one thing about selection toys, depending on what you select, the menu options will change. If it's a group versus a line versus an edge. But I'm just going to say Select Active. Selects all versions of that particular tree, and then I can move it onto a different layer. Well, I selected something that's already open. So this would be a quick tutorial, and I'm going to go through this tomorrow, on how you can actually reorganize really unorganized models using selection toys in your process. For me, building fairly large models, it becomes a really important process. Why? Because I can select that component once, do instances, select all. It now selects all active versions of those, and I can find the appropriate layer for that. But it does a little bit more than that, and we're going to go on to the next one here and show you what I mean. So really simple how that all can function. So I'm going to close that. And I'm only showing you some of the functions that Selection Toys has. And again, that's a lot of the things that you'll see with all these Ruby scripts. They're multifunctional, or they might produce a function that has many effects. In this case, how many of you download an object and it's filled with edges? So you're going to go into the object, you're going to take the eraser tool and have fun hiding the edges, right? Instead, I'm going to triple click on the object, and I'm going to do select over it. And notice I have a lot of different options here. Again, I have the instances, but I have select only, and it lets me select only those things I want selected and deselect the rest of them. Or I can deselect the things that are already selected. In this case, I'm going to do select, or select only edges. Selected all the edges, can right-click on them, and I can hit hide. So I can quickly go through here, and that saves me a lot of time. So again, this is a time saver in what you want to use. There's a lot more to what Selection Toys can actually do. So if you have groups, let's say you have tons of groups, you didn't make it a component, which is a sin if you're working in SketchUp and you're not organizing correctly. This will allow you to, here, actually, let's see if I can demonstrate it real quick. I'm going to make this into a group. I'm going to copy it around. I'm actually going to use another Ruby script. Actually, no, we'll come back to that one. I'm not going to cheat. Now I can right-click on that and select group copies, and I can say select all. Now I can go back and do group copies, convert into components. So now they're all components, right? Let's keep going. I have many Ruby scripts. I'm not going to get through all this. Keep coming back to this one. We're not going to do it yet. I think this one might be one of my favorite Ruby scripts. It's called Rotate Rectangle. Again, at the top, it's on the extension warehouse. How many people are using Rotate Rectangle? Oh, you will after today. So you want to draw, I want to take this master plan and I want to draw rectangles on it, but I can't. Isn't that frustrating, right? How many, you know. So Rotate Rectangle, which I actually have a shortcut for, so I don't know where it is. Oh, there it is. And that's the other thing. I use these Ruby scripts so often, extensions, plugins, whatever you want to call them, they're called extensions now. I have shortcuts for them because it speeds up my workflow. I'm like, all right, that's perfect. Now, I could just change the axis for the model and do this, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to go, and I'm going to use the rotate rectangle tool. Lets me pick the first point, second point, and I can start not having to worry about having to draw or change the angle. Rotate rectangle, it's one of my top 5. It's a must-have. It's on SketchUp, it's on the SketchUp warehouse, on the extension warehouse, something you should consider going to get. Again, how it functions versus the rectangle tool. Now I'm going to do, where was it? Whoops. Here, I'll use the, I'm going to use my shortcut. And doesn't matter. It'll draw everything perpendicularly, so it's a true 90-degree angles for everything. Next one. I love this tool. This is an oldie, but a goodie. And how many people know about path copy or copy along path? It's got a schizophrenic name because it's path copy on Smustard, but under plugins, it's copy along path. Anybody from Smustard here? I know you're here, don't hide. You know you got to change it. I'm just kidding. You don't have to listen to me. What does path copy do? We're going to do a bunch of different path copy stuff. So first and foremost, I can select this line, and I want to create this kind of nice lights across a plaza. So I'm going to go and select plugins, copy along path. You can copy to path nodes or copy to spacing. Again, I have a shortcut there. Why? Because I'm always using it. So I'm going to select it. It's giving me a distance. It's 10 feet. I'm going to set it to 2 feet. I'm going to select the edge, which is actually an arc. Then I'm going to select the light. And don't crash, don't crash. You laugh. It crashed. That's okay. Okay. How many people I get questions about how do you do a rock wall? Yes, you can use Valley architecture, instant wall, instant rail, but he doesn't give you this kind of ability. You know, a nice rock wall. How do you do this? So I skipped one Ruby script that I'm going to come back to right now because I'm going to show you how it works because I'm determined. And it's called weld. This is another one from Smustard. What does weld do? Well, it welds lines together. So I'm going to actually select these lines. Oh, I accidentally unselected. How frustrating is that, right? Another Ruby script, just a little segue. Cycle previous selection. Woo, yay. Okay. I'll come back to it. So I'm going to go plugins, weld, again, Shift W. I didn't set up these shortcuts for the presentation because I'm obviously going through the menus. I'm just doing it because, well, I actually use them all the time. So I'm going to string together all those Ruby scripts to create this wall. So first was weld. Next, I'm going to select, I'm going to do plugins, copy along path, copy to spacing. I think it's 2 feet. I select the line, select the edge. Now I'm going to do selection toys, select it, instances, select all. And you can all look at Chris Fulmer at the back of the room just to embarrass him. Hi, Chris. How are you doing? CLF tools. They're amazing. This one I've been using for a long time. I'm always plugging it. I'm going to plug a lot of other tools. But you can see I have some of Chris's tools already loaded. Scale and rotate multiple, scale and rotate randomly. I'm going to set the scale factors to 0.9 and 0.1.1 and then 360. And then hit OK. Randomized it for me. Well, now it's just a simple matter of taking that, using the copy tool. And then I'm going to use Chris Fulmer's tool again. And then I'm going to do, watch this again, instances, select all. copy it up again. Move them back a little, and then run the randomized rotation again. Why am I randomizing it once again? So I can create a really varied facade to it. But there you go. How long did that just take me, right? To be able to do something like this along really long surfaces and to get to the end result. Sure. Oh, I guess I do have it open. Oh, it never crashed. Okay. Well, let's keep going. All right. I'm a landscape architect. I do a lot of terrain modeling. And part of what I want to do for tomorrow's workshop is both beginner to advanced terrain modeling, because it's part of the Ruby script stuff. I know TIG does have a cut fill calculator. I'm also working with Jeffrey Franklin from Limitless Computing. We're working on this particular cut fill calculator because I have clients that I do terrain modeling. They're like, well, how much earth are we moving? So let's see if this works. I have my terrain, my existing terrain on the left, my proposed terrain on the right. I'm going to select the terrain, right-click on it, go to Cut Fill, and say Set as Existing. I'm going to go to the next one, right-click on it, Cut Fill, Set as Proposed. Right-click on it again, Cut Fill, and say Calculate Cut Fill. Don't crash. We'll wait for it. And we'll see if it decides to function. There it goes. So what is it showing me? The red is showing me the cut areas. The blue areas are the fill. It's giving me a total cut calculation of 10,600 cubic yards. I also have leaders and regions to mark each area, so I know which area is what. And if I select and right-click on this again, I can actually export this out as a spreadsheet file, so I have it listed as well. So for me, this is very useful, especially for landscape architects, anybody moving a lot of earth around, surveyors, and hopefully we'll get it even more refined. So we're going to keep going, cut fill, and go to Profile Builder. Who here uses Profile Builder? Nice, okay. This is another oldie and a goodie. There's a lot of Ruby scripts that when I went through and started doing this, I can go through the extension warehouse and I can find a lot of new scripts. They have to earn their way into my workflow, and a lot of them already have. I'm going to show you repeat copy also. But Profile Builder has been around for a long time, and it's got two versions, the pro and the free version. It is pretty much follow me on steroids. It's absolutely phenomenal. You know, for example, in this particular case, I need to create handrails. There's a lot of different piping tools you can use to do this. But you can see I'm taking the terrain edge, copying it up, hopefully what should be 3 feet. I'll go to Plugins, Profile Builder. And Profile Builder will let me select from a lot of predetermined shapes that I can actually put in here. So it might be bar rails or base shoes, whatever it might be. But I'm just going to go for imperial circles imperial. We'll make this nice and thick. And it gives me build along path, follow me. I'll click on that. It says, would you like to reverse directions? You can ignore that for just now. Come back and give it a color. Which I should not try to open all these menus. But let's keep going, because I keep using Profile Builder a lot. So the other thing that Profile Builder, the Pro version, does is it allows you to create and do a follow me path along very custom shapes. So I'm going to go to Plugins, Profile Builder. I'm going to select this shape, and I'm going to click the plus button. I'm going to call it Form 2 and hit OK. And now it's giving me that shape. Now there's a red dot in the center. You could see it right here. That's where it's going to connect the profile I'm going to build to the edge. I'm actually going to do top left. I think that's correct, right there. I'm going to double click on the top of this roof, And then I'm going to select build along path, reverse path. There we have some building detail. If I go through this quickly, we'll go through and build more. Come back to it, do the same thing. And then last but not least, do one more. This time we're going to do bottom left. Select the bottom of the building. And you can start articulating buildings really quickly. Now, let's keep going because there's more. So this is the Performing Arts Center in North Carolina, and I had to build this for a client, and they had a pretty complicated glass articulated wall. And I was like, wow, how am I going to model this efficiently? So someone suggested, well, why don't you use Profile Builder? So in this case, you could see this side of the wall is not complete. I have a component here. The component is actually nested on that wall. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes so you can see it, right? So it's a component. I'm going to make this another component in here. I'm going to make this actually into a group and then copy it over. I'm then going to explode this. Okay? Now I'm going to do selection toys, select only faces, and I'm going to delete them, right? So now I've made that into a hollow shell into the building. I'm going to select all these lines, go to Plugins, Profile Builder, and hopefully I can select Squares Imperial, and I'm looking for 4x4. And I'm going to run build along path and pray. There it is. Then I'm going to take this and move it back. And those became my windows. So now I'll go and apply a transparency to them. Just do it universally in here. And there you go. So what I thought would take me about 5, 6, 8 hours to build a really complicated glass wall, granted not as accurate as you'd want for construction, but I was able to do in about half an hour. Let's see. Should I keep going? Selection memory, instant roof. Let's go with instant roof. How much time do I have? Okay. Should I talk faster? Think slower. You have no idea what my wife goes through. She's very methodical. So we're waiting for this one. Let's see if we can double load some stuff. Okay. So Chuck Valley released a new Ruby script, and it's called Instant Roof New. Close. Okay. How many people used Instant Roof? Oh, this is so much better. So what do these tools do? Do anybody not know what Instant Roof is? How many people struggle building roofs in SketchUp? Just a few of you? Okay. So I'm going to select these two top surfaces. I'm going to click on, I think that should make roof. And I have some options. And it'll construct these for me, with rafters, without rafters. But I'm going to go, I can also do it from a pull-down menu, so I'm going to select here, prairie. I'm going to say make roof, pray. There you go. Now, that's cool, but it's kind of flat. And if I can put a texture on it, that's great. I like to render a lot, and that's just going to look okay as a rendering. So there's a lot of other tools here as well. So I'm going to go it's a group. I'm going to go into the group. I triple-clicked. I selected all of it. I'm going to click on this button, which lets me add detail. It's always fun to play with these. I feel like I created them even though I have no idea how they make these things. So this one allows me to create shingles and a gutter. I'm going to click on that and say add details. It'll process its way out. You can see that it's processing on the bottom left. But there you go. Highly useful, very quick, almost impossible if you're going to do that by hand or by hand manually in SketchUp. So that's instant roof. Selection memory. Okay. So in this case, I'm combining topo, a Google Earth aerial with topo to this area in here. And I do a lot of terrain modeling this way. It's profile terrain modeling. I'm going to actually turn off the topo if I remember which layer it's on. I don't remember, which is bad, bad, bad. Well, let's go look. Sweet, 0 topo, whatever that might be. Okay. So I was showing this before where I have to go in here and select all these little edges when I'm doing my terrain modeling, which pretty much will drive you crazy, especially if you go through here and you select everything and then you misclick and everything deselects, right? Doesn't matter. And this is useful not just for selecting edges, but you're selecting a lot of different stuff in SketchUp. You click away and all of a sudden it's gone. This one's called selection memory. Cycle previous selection. I think it's by TomTom. Again, extension warehouse. Go get it. It's worth it. It will let you cycle through up to 5 selections, if not more. There's a way to actually increase that amount. So I'll click cycle previous selection. It selected it. And now I can go back on my way. I'm not cursing at SketchUp at that point. I'm not saying, wow, I'm not going to make my deadline again. Now I can use from contour, and I can generate my terrain. Which, if you've never done terrain modeling, tomorrow I'm going to go through that in the workshop. What's next? Let's close some of these so SketchUp actually can breathe. Okay, don't close them. Let's do instant. Let's do CLF copy. What was the name of your plugin again? PlusSpec. Well, it's Ruby Sketch 2, right? Okay. I might have you come up here. Put you on the spot, right? How many people are actively using Ruby scripts for everything they do? Okay. Does this help? Okay. So this is another Chris Fulmer tool. It's called Repeat Copy. It's on Smustard. It's phenomenal. Again, I have a shortcut for it, except I have to select an active command. So Chris Fulmer tools, Repeat Copy. Again, I have a shortcut. I want to entourage this site. Well, you can use the Move tool. Everybody loves the Move tool, right? Move, copy. Kind of gets hard to do. So instead, I'm going to select that component. I'm going to go to Plugins, Chris Fulmer Tools, Repeat Copy. And you could see there's scale factors and rotations. I'm going to edit them by clicking on the middle mouse button. And you can see I have them already set to 100% scale, but you can see you can adjust the scale up or down depending on what you're doing. I'm going to hit OK, and I'll just go in. I'm impatient. No. You can select multiple groups, do the same thing, and it will randomly select through them. You should see what my employee has to go through. I'm like, are you using Ruby scripts? He's like, what's a Ruby script? You're fired. No, just kidding. But you get the point, right? That one's actually not free. It's on Smustard's site. Again, you can go through the extension warehouse to get it. To me, it's a must-have Ruby script on top of everything else. Let's see. How many people do road striping? Their projects. Really frustrating, hard to do. Most people don't even bother doing it. So again, going back now to Chuck Valley, this one's called Instant Road New. Now, ostensibly what this script is for you to grade either center lines or road surfaces onto terrain. Well, I discovered that it does something else, which is phenomenal, because I import my CAD files in, I use Ruby scripts to build my CAD file, and now we're going to come in and I'm actually going to create striping for this. So we're going to go to Instant Road New. Now, how did I get to this point? Here's my road. All I ended up doing was drawing an arc. That's now a group down the center line of this particular road structure. I'm going to select the road. I'm going to select the line. I'm going to click on road striping. And I can pick from some options. I'm going to click that, and then click Make Striping. Oh, I forgot to select the colors, but that's okay. You can select the colors for what it's going to do, but it'll stripe the roads for you. Again, pick something else here. Make striping. How much time, Chris? 5 minutes. Road surface must be a group, so sorry. Make that. Yeah, that's right. It'll fit it in from the center line out, so it doesn't matter. It could be anything. It does need to be a group. So you're selecting group to group. All the edge does is tell you the direction and the length that you're filling in. So we'll pick something else. See if we can get that one to work again. This is going to save me hours. And there's other aspects to this as well. He also has symbols that you can place, and then this works on terrain as well. So this is for complete, traffic. But here, again, this is on terrain. I'm going to select the group. I'm going to select the line. I'm going to go to striping. And what's really nice about this is how stable it all is. I don't know if that's going to, we'll see how long this takes to work. We'll come back to that one. All right. There's another Ruby script I want to show that I saw this morning. PlusSpec, and it's by Andrew Dwight, sorry. This thing's phenomenal, phenomenal. I'm just going to run it and hope that this works. In essence, it's a parametric modeler for building your buildings. From everything from just, how do you describe this? It'll build your walls, it'll build your windows, you can move everything around, it'll produce reports for you, multi-story. He's releasing it today. I'm going to get it. And hopefully we can even try to demo it tomorrow during the workshop. But we have time to just quickly go through this. And here's an interesting thing about this plugin. Like Chuck Valley's Valley Architecture, PlusSpec has nice menus. It's easy to use. He's been working on it for 7 years with a team. It's extraordinarily stable from watching it on his laptop. And again, it's all parametric. I know you've seen similar plugins that actually can start building houses and walls like this. I've never seen anything like this. I was literally sitting there with my jaw dropping this morning with 5 or 6 of us saying, can we have that? Again, you can produce the reports out of it. You can put in your doors. You can put whatever objects that you're actually going to do to build a structure with it. And then you can move them around. As you're moving them around, the parametrics change. And then you actually have the option to produce a report at the end with all your information that you need for cost estimating, quantities. Am I getting that right? Yeah. But I'm going to be playing around with this one, and hopefully we can play around with it for tomorrow as well. I didn't make it through all my Ruby scripts. Again, I can keep going. The bottom line is, you need to be using Ruby scripts. You hear a lot of people talking about SketchUp can't do this and SketchUp can't do that. And that gets tiring, especially when I have architects challenging me like, just go use Revit. I'm like, those are not modular systems. SketchUp is offering you a modular system. And there's one thing that SketchUp doesn't emphasize with every release, and that's how fast they've improved the ability to crunch model sizes. In 2005, I could open up a model with 50,000 faces and barely work in it. I can work in models that are 10 million faces now. And it's really big, large models. That's what I like to do, and I throw in a lot of detail into this. All these tools are just going to help you get there faster. One of the things I've been doing over the past year at some groups is lecturing about the economics of 3D modeling, because everybody wants to get into it, but nobody knows how to do it, what the costs are. And the bottom line is SketchUp is about the economics of your production process. So you're fitting it into your workflow, but you're making it faster, and then you're getting the end results. A lot of people used to say SketchUp is a dead end. That's not the case anymore. I'm using SketchUp from front end to back end for presentation and graphics. And you have people developing these phenomenal tools. And we're only going to see that increase. Now that SketchUp has been free from Google and back in Trimble, as you saw John's presentation, we're really coming to the point where we're going to get what we've been wanting for about 6 or 7 years, which is this powerful parametric building modeling program that pretty much lets us do anything else. I'll open it up. We have 2 minutes. I'll open it up for questions. Questions? Cool.
How much is this one? It's $395, guys. Okay.
It's worth it.
What? How do we find it?
What's it called?
PlusSpec.
Say that again.
PlusSpec.
When's your presentation tomorrow?
Wednesday afternoon. I'm not sure exactly where yet, but it'll be on the Groovy sketch menu. My 4-year-old daughter uses it and quantifies and estimates geometry, which you can't really find yet.
That's great. All right. I think, am I done? All right. Thank you very much. Have enjoyed Basecamp.